Let's go 5 minutes. We might fall asleep if we have 6 minutes. So 5 minutes, Les.
4 minutes.
5.
Cause mine's 3.
Okay. Welcome to Busybird Publishing's open mic night number 64.
Yay.
We forgot to put the sign out today, Kev.
Yeah.
I think we're all a bit... It must be, we can blame the politicians, can't we, this week? So, hello everybody. Everyone, you all know me. You know Kev, you know Les, you know Shell. So I won't bother with all of that. Don't forget, we are recording, so it will go up on Facebook. Shell's having her dinner. Les is up the back timing it, and at 4.5 minutes you will hear a ding to give you a warning that you have 30 seconds. At 5 minutes you'll hear a double ding, and that means time's up. Okay, so
After that, it'll be a shotgun.
yeah, we don't have Oscar here. Did we have Oscar here last month?
Yeah.
We did, okay. Who to start with? We might start with Steve.
Okay.
Yeah? So Steve's going to do some stand-up. Now, sorry, Steve, you can keep coming up, but I just wanted to explain something. I don't know if anyone noticed, but we have another column in the side of the form tonight. A few people over time have asked us about feedback of their work and their reading, and we thought if people are interested, we could actually write up a sort of, 1/2 or 1 page report that gives you really concrete critique of your work and your delivery. But we're going to charge $5 to do that because it will take a bit of our time and it won't happen on the night, and it will be private. So it's not like we're going to get up and give you a critique.
I'm going to read it out next month.
Unless you want us to read it out. So, obviously not tonight, but from now on we will have that option there if anyone is interested in it. So, Steve, I'll let you tell us what you're doing.
Hadn't really prepared anything tonight, so I thought I'd go back to one of the bits I did at the comedy clubs. So this bit is about online dating, and as a lot of you know me, that my wife abandoned me about 7 years ago when she selfishly died of breast cancer, and left me with 3 kids. And like I said, that was about 7 years ago. A few years after that, I started to think, well, maybe it's about time to re-partner or find someone else. I started to get a bit lonely, missed a bit of company, I was getting RSI on the wrist. So then So I said, oh, okay, how do I go about it? I wasn't really very social at the time. So I said, well, there's the online dating thing. So, of course, you've got the Tinder. The Tinder's all a bit superficial, really, isn't it? It's all about looks. And let's face it, any woman wants to go out with me just because of my looks is a total nutcase, and I don't want anything to do with it. So I went for one of the sites that was a bit more nuanced, a bit more scientific, where you put all your information in and they go and find your perfect match. So of course you sign up, you pay your money, you put your name and everything else and your age, and then they start asking questions. So the first question is, what is your race? And of course it didn't have many options. So the options were white, black, Hispanic or Asian or other. And none of them...
200 metres.
Well, none of them really apply to me, but it didn't give you an option to elaborate on other. So, and even if they did, there wouldn't be room for West Asian, Middle Eastern, Southern European, Australian. So I ticked white, so that was the closest. So then they go to religion, and there's a few options there. One of the options was spiritual but not religious. So I thought that's sort of more where I'm at. But I was born a Catholic, and I was actually involved in the church for a while. And so I still sort of, I'm a progressive Catholic, so not, it's like, not a George Pellite, I'm more, but so I put down Catholic, because that's what I am. And then of course there was politics. And politics, it's an American website, you see, so the politics thing was only conservative or liberal or neutral. So I'm actually lefty, but of course in that context I had to put down liberal. So at this point, I'm a white Catholic liberal. I'm thinking, well, I probably didn't think this through well enough because I'm coming across as Tony Abbott in Donald Trump's body. So, but anyway, but the thing is with these sites, it's all about the psychometric analysis. So that was just the basic questions, but then they ask you all the questions about what your preferences are, what you do on a first date, what you like to do in your spare time, and all that sort of detailed stuff. And then they use that to match you to find your perfect match. So I did all that, I put it out there, and I waited for the results to come in. I thought, well, how many could there be out there? They're going to find my perfect match because I'm a unique person. They will find someone similarly unique. So lo and behold, the results came in, and I didn't just have one perfect match. I had about 6.
Oh.
And the next day, there was another 6. And by the end of the week, I had about 50. And I thought, wow. I thought, well, either the matching process isn't as robust as they say it is, or I must be God's gift to women because I'm compatible with everybody. So after a few dates, I did actually meet someone, and I got a slow start, but we got on really well. And it was good to have that company, good to share some interests and have someone to go out with. And in some ways, it went really well. I mean, really well. it went much better than I expected. But unfortunately, it didn't last. It's probably about we were together for about 9 months, and I think it was the second time she was involuntarily admitted to a psych hospital that I said, well, I can't take this on. So I was being a single dad, having this whole other stuff. So can't blame her for being sick, but it was just too much for me, so I had to end it. But through the process, I did learn a few things, not the least of which was that I can love again. And secondly is that although I'm not as good as I once was, I'm as good once as I ever was. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. Marion.
Yes.
Marion.
Hi.
Hi, Marion. Marion has a story for us. Come on up.
Now, I wanted to tell you a little story about a young man that I work with. So I can't tell you where I work, and I can't tell you my real name because this is all totally under wraps. The government doesn't want anyone to know what we're doing, and therefore I have to speak anonymously, so you'll forgive me. But we'll call this young man that I work with Jeremy. So Jeremy came to me, and he was a great, strapping, huge lad, very muscular, beautiful looks. And I felt that he probably wasn't the brightest young man that I'd ever met, but he was very charming and very obliging. So I used to meet him one day a week at the library, and we did difficult problems like sharing $80 between 4 people and, really challenging stuff that, don't tell me, I'll get it. I'll work it out by myself. So part of what I had to do was to train Jeremy socially. And one of his little problems was his anger management. So he came by train to Ringwood Station. Oh, might have given something away there. And he'd come into the library and say, I didn't do it. Oh, you'll be so proud of me. I didn't hit him. And I said, oh, Jeremy, that's wonderful. What happened? When I got off the train, some guy said to me, why don't you go back where you came from, you black? And he said, I didn't hit him. I remembered what you said. And I just took a deep breath and I put my hands in my pockets and I walked over here to see you. "Oh, Jeremy, that's wonderful, mate. That's absolutely fantastic. Now, what about we do some work? What about we read something today?" Anyway, Jeremy devoted himself to combing the library shelves, looking for books, and he developed a passion for Enid Blyton. So the famous 5 books became his. He was just enraptured by them. And we'd spend ages doing diagrams. Now, who were all the characters? He was a great drawer. Had this wonderful visual perceptive sense, and he would draw all the characters. And he'd say, "Now, but what about that policeman? Where did that policeman come from? He wasn't there at the beginning. How about that? Why have they put that policeman in?" I say, "Well, the author's gradually introducing characters, Jeremy. It's one of the things that authors do." "Or I don't like it that he wasn't there at the beginning." "Well, never mind, let's just draw him and get him on the paper." We drew diagrams of the village and where all the different things happened. And through this visual sense, I gradually got the idea that Jeremy might be good at chess. So I brought in a chessboard one day and I said, "I'll teach you to play chess." Well, that was the beginning of something that really was valuable and beneficial for Jeremy. He learned very, very quickly, and within 6 weeks he could beat me. And he'd say to me, "Oh, you don't want to move there. That's a hopeless move. Look, if you move there, I will do this, and then you will do that, and then I will do this, and then in 6 moves I will have checkmated you. You don't want to do that. A much better move is to move this piece here." You say, "You haven't planned your attack at all." So, "Well, Jeremy, I can't visualise as far ahead as you can." Now, we had Jeremy in our program for 6 years, I think, from the time he was 14 until he was nearly 20. He was never the smartest kid, but he did learn to read and he did learn to do basic maths. And the thing that thrilled his father the most was the fact that he learned to use a calculator and to recognise when he'd made a mistake. So he could look at the calculator and say, "Hey, that's not right. I've made a mistake somewhere. It won't do if I quote $1.40 on that job, will it?" Jeremy left us when he was about 20 and went to work with his father, who has a window cleaning business. Last heard from, Jeremy was extremely happy and working productively in the community. Now, is there a take-home message? Yes, there is. When you see kids in trouble, please don't judge them. Please be aware that they have issues and that there are people out there, secret squirrels we are, helping them to adjust and to slot back into the community. So I hope that you'll have some compassion for all young people. Thank you very much.
The take home I get from that is that everyone learns differently too. Yes. Some people are more visual, all sorts of different ways of learning. Okay, Kelly Miller. Oh, we have a few Millers here tonight.
No, it's Kelly Hamill.
Hamill. Oh, sorry, I'm reading the Miller above you. Sorry, suddenly got you all in the same family. Thank you, Kelly.
This is called Docking on the Bay. Lana shivered as her bare feet swung off the bunk and landed on the concrete floor. She pulled the woolen blanket around her as she stood and began to pace back and forth across the small room. Shit, shit, shit. She looked at the letter in her hand but couldn't focus on the words. Why'd she have to die now? Couldn't she have hung on for another month? I'd be out. How am I going to tell him? Can't tell him where I am. Lana was covering the length of the room faster now, and as she turned for another lap, she kicked her toe on the stainless steel toilet pan. Shit! She dropped the letter in her hand and threw the blanket onto her bunk. I'm sick of all this, Gray. 18 months of it. One more to go. She slumped down on the bunk. Nan's garden was always full of colour. Red and yellow nasturtiums lined the front fence. Oh, the veggies in the back garden. A slight smile briefly turned Lana's lips as she remembered stealing pea pods from the garden. Crisp and juicy, crunching on every bite. So sweet. I'd kill for a fresh pea pod right now. Why didn't you hang on for another month, Nan? There was a growing knot in Lana's stomach. I could tell him I can't get off work, stuck at an airport or something. She stood up and the pacing started again. Think, think, think. There's got to be a way. The knot was growing, mouth sweating. She ran to the pan, clutching the cold, hard steel as her stomach retched. Lana stopped as she approached the door. The new habit formed over the last year and a half. She waited for the familiar buzzer. The door opened. She walked over to the table where Julie sat waiting. "Why are you here? You should be home. The funeral's in a couple of days." "It's so good to see you, Lana. I've missed you." Julie's sincerity annoyed Lana. "Does anyone know you're here? How'd you get away without telling a lie? God knows you wouldn't dare lie to anyone. Or have you dobbed me in?" "I didn't lie to anyone. I just told them I needed to be with you right now. They all understood." Understood? Understood? What the hell is that supposed to mean? I'm some charity case you all got to tiptoe around? "Lana, wait. I come to see your lawyer. I have a meeting with him and the parole board. We're trying to get you out early on compassionate grounds." Lana couldn't hold back the guttural growl. "Little Miss Bloody Two Shoes at it again, always trying to rescue some hopeless case. Thought you'd take me on as your next project, did you? Well, forget about it. I'm not interested in being rescued. I can look after myself." "Yes, I can see that, Lana. Been doing a great job of it, haven't you?" "Big sister getting sassy. Well, I'm not buying whatever you're selling." Lana slammed her fist on the table and leant forward to stand up. She looked Julie in the eyes and stopped, green with flecks of blue, greener now as the tears were brimming. Nan's eyes, and mine. Serious. She's fucking serious. She thinks she's got a chance of pulling it off. Lana leant back in her chair and crossed her arms over her chest. "Don't think it'll work. Why'd you give a shit about someone like me anyhow? I did it. I'm here. I ripped Centrelink off and I'm here. They're not going to let me out for a funeral. I'm a scumbag." "That's crap and you know it. James did the ripping off, not you. Why you took the blame for that man when all he did was abuse you, I'll never understand. But you do not deserve to miss Nan's funeral and I'll fight to see you there." Lana took the last swig of a can and threw it into the bay. She watched as the can bobbed up and down, slowly floating towards the shore, before being filled with water and sinking to the bottom of the shallows. She could just make out the white of the can rolling on the sand with the tide. Crack! The sound of another tinny opening was louder than she'd expected. She looked over her shoulder to make sure no one was around. Quiet night in Strawn, at least here on the jetty anyway. What'll I say I've been doing for the last year and a half? Jail? That'd go down great. She shivered, cold memories that wouldn't leave her alone. Lana looked out at the bay. 4 boats were out on pick. She watched them, masts swaying back and forth as the boats rocked with the waves. She could just make out the seagulls resting on the top of the mast, looking at her. Jailbird. How am I ever going to do it? Can I even be a deckhand? I got no choice. Skip won't check references. The only job I got a hope in hell of getting. Crack. She looked around again and caught some movement across the road. The short, stocky form gave him away. Keno, going into the pub. Yeah, that'd be bloody right, alky bastard. Left his kids at home to go get drunk. She drank the last of her cans. That's it. Get in there and talk to Skip. He's hired girls before. Lana hesitated a little too long at the door, then shook her head in disbelief. Stupid. Don't give yourself away. Doors don't open by themselves out here. She pulled on the heavy door and stepped up into the main bar of Hamer's Hotel. Dodging the 8-ball table, she made her way to the large wooden bar which ran the length of the room. Every bar stool was occupied with people who knew her, locals. She felt the sweat run from her armpits down her sides, swallowed hard and forced a smile and nod as she approached the bar. "Hi, Alana. Sorry to hear about your Nan. Good to see you home, though." The barman was smiling at her. His white hair, the cracks in his face accentuated his smile. Weathered, always whistling while he worked. He poured a pot without asking for an order and placed it in front of her. "On the house." "Thanks, Jerry. Good to see you. Hey, is the skipper of the Arctic Gull in here tonight?" "Yeah, Lana. He's out in the lounge having a counter tea. What you want with him?" "Heard he wants a decky. I need work fast." Jerry laughed. "Spend all your cash on your travels, did you? Well, you better hurry."
Les is not that mean looking. Thanks, Marion. Jackie. Where's Jackie sitting? Up the back. Jackie Richards is going to do something impromptu.
I was going to bring something to read tonight, but I didn't. And so I was encouraged by Shell to do something impromptu. And so I thought I would talk about something that's quite prominent at the moment about mental health. And it's more prominent where I work in an office. One of my colleagues has slowly gone from mildly not coping to a little bit not coping very much to completely and utterly wiped out. She's had a series of knocks with relationships, family members dying, dog dying, and then another relationship collapse. And normally a robust, strong, outgoing woman is now non-functioning. She's drugged up to the eyeballs, she's not coping in the office, she's having time off. And I thought, it really is something that can hit anybody, and it takes you unawares. And it took me back to a time when I was working in the IT industry, competent, young, go-getting, ambitious, taking on too much, one little knockback here, bit of a family crisis there, more work to hide it, not face whatever's going on, and then suddenly there was I, struggling, non-functioning, teary in the office for the slightest thing. And seeing that in my colleague, I thought, I have such empathy for you and such compassion, knowing what she's going through, but also wanting to support her and give her some simple guidance and let her know that she's not alone, and that with some support and some encouragement she will be able to bring herself out of this hole that she's in. So fortunately we're an office of 9 women, so we work well together, and so she's got that support. Unfortunately, at times she feels she can't even get into the office to get the support. And to counteract everything else, when she's at home to have some time out, she's on her own, and her parents don't understand. So she's feeling taken from pillar to post. So what I did for her, I gave her a few ideas that she could potentially sort of take on board to support her as she goes through each day to day. And that's what I said to her: small steps, baby steps, take it one day at a time. The Alcoholics Anonymous mantra, just for today I will not drink. I said, just for today, tell yourself, I'll have a go at finding something grateful in my life. Start it small, start it simple. Allow yourself a little twinkling of light in that darkness, and as you find more things to find some light about, then that will support you in moving yourself along. The other thing I found as she was talking to me, but I've tried this and it doesn't work, and I've tried that, and when I'm home I'm trying to get myself out of this hole and it's just really not working. And she was so distressed. And I looked her in the eye and I said, one day at a time, have a go. Don't try, because try means you've failed. Try means it's not going to work. Subconsciously, you're automatically putting yourself down again. So I said, see if you can, just for today, have a go at finding something to be grateful for. See if just for today you can find some light in your life. Don't try, catch yourself trying and say, no, I know that doesn't work for me. I'll have a go. I'll see if this will work, and I'll see if I can get myself out of this hole. So this week she's not been in work, but she has been doing things for work from home. And so I sent her a little sort of message saying, are you having a go? And she said, yeah, baby steps, getting there. So I thought, fantastic. Because a lot of the times when you feel in such a hole, you feel so weak, so embarrassed. How could I, this competent, capable person, suddenly be this incompetent wreck? And anybody can feel this and experience this. So I was really pleased that just some small words of wisdom will hopefully support her in coming out of where she's at. And when she gets back into the office, hopefully next week, we can all sort of give her more extra support as well. A little often is my mantra. Whatever you're doing, whatever change you want to make in your life, whether it's big stuff or small stuff, a little often will get you there. Thank you.
Well, I like to think we are family here.
Yes.
As Jeff was saying, it's good to have family, and today is actually International Day of Family. Did you know that? Bit of trivia.
Believe it or not.
Okay, Joan. Joan is going to read a poem. A small poem.
Well, that's a fib.
It's a fib. We're used to your fibs.
I really think today I'm going batty. Because this isn't a poem, it's just a little experience. My clock was bung tonight and I was late for Rob, and now I've left my glasses behind. So what comes out, and so you...
Want to try these?
I'll try anything.
Try anything, eh?
Thanks. Now if I go blind, it's going to be your
Don't
fault.
blame me.
Oh, that's a bit better.
Not purple.
Anyway, I've called this experiment.
You look good.
Thank you. Where do I put my teeth in?
You got them in?
A few short months ago, I was single. That's not true. Here I was in my little doll's house in the middle of the bush with my own little kitchen, a loving husband, kindly neighbours, and raring to prove myself a competent wife who could manage a house and cook. I faced a few handicaps. There was no electricity, no gas, no water laid on. Was I deterred? No way. This was an adventure and a challenge. Having enjoyed the hospitality of generous older bush housewives and having sampled their delicious sponge cakes, this being a small dairying district with fresh milk, eggs and butter in abundance, I thought I'd try my hand at my very first sponge. The fact that once the rain began here and it didn't let up for a week did not enter my calculations. Of course, our new chopped stack of firewood had not yet been stored in the shed and was just a little bit more than damp. Valiantly, I endeavoured to dry it out on the side of the ancient wood fire stove. This was not exactly a huge success, but I ploughed on with half-dried wood. My army of ingredients lined up, I proceeded. Beat butter and sugar to a smooth cream. This operation was more than I bargained for. The butter was hard and not cooperative. By the time I had conquered it and added the many eggs one by one, beating the very life out of the mixture by hand, my wrist was aching. The firewood seemed to be taking an endless time to ignite, despite all my puffing and blowing to encourage the newspaper to engulf it with tender flames. After what seemed to be an age, I decided to entrust my precious figure of 8 smooth, creamy mixture to that obstinate oven. The oven did not have a glass door, so it was impossible to know what was going on in there. After the specified time, in which I diligently kept feeding this monster its menu of drying out sticks, etc., I decided to investigate. Gingerly, I opened the door with oven cloth in both hands. I carefully withdrew my precious cargo, just a little, only to catch the cake tin on the edge of the door, sending it kerplonk, splattered all over the floor. My anguish knew no bounds. When added to this, I discerned a giggle exploding behind me. My heartless husband's wicked sense of humour getting the better of him. I'll never make a sponge cake again, my vented frustration declared. And I never did.
Marcello.
I'll get there. Pardon sold age and I've been housekeeping for the last 7 weeks. My wife decided to break her wrist. She had to have microsurgery, but anyway. I was going to read something, but in view of what's happened, and one thing sort of struck me tonight. So when I first came in the second night, the second open mic, was all poetry. Tonight there hasn't been one single poetry reading. So it's evolved, which is great.
What's wrong with poetry?
Nothing. Nothing. I didn't say there was, but it doesn't seem to be here tonight, which is great. I was going to read something, but in view of what, I met Kelly, and she said, look, I come from a very small little town in northwest of Tassie, Strawn. There's only 500 people. Yeah, that's a big metropolis, believe you me. And Genostra came back to me. That's what I broke tourists one day, but that's another story. And then culminating with the music, Jeffrey, by the way, my second name is Godfrey, after Godfrey Bouillon from France. My brother was a priest that decided to give me this name, I don't know why. That's my second name, Godfrey. Not Jeffrey, Godfredo, Godfrey. And Jones, a little house where there was nothing. Well, that's Genostra to a T. I mean, Genostra is 1/10 of Strawn, cut off and thrown in the middle, about 10 kilometres out in the sea. And that's that, with nothing. Volcano up the top, another village on the other side, but you could not be reached by foot. On land had to be go by rowboats. At the time there was nothing there. But when I went there, I was 11, I started playing the church organ, a little pedal organ, for the congregation, about 20 people, 25 people. But there was a boy, 2 years older than I, was a very good guitarist and a piano accordionist. I had a mandolin, so we would do the entertaining. Sometimes like a little dance with 20 people there. He'd play the guitar and I played the mandolin. And so that's why, and that's really where I started loving the ballads. And then when in the early 60s in South Melbourne the movement of the minstrels and folk singing started, I was one of the original members of that group of the minstrels at near the South Melbourne Town Hall, where the library is now. And and living in Genostra, you had to invent things. And exactly what we were told by in the illustrious way that have a go. We had to have a go at things. So you wanted a toy, you made yourself. You wanted a little rowboat, you made it yourself. You cut a big olive tree and work, because time was no object. And I loved living there, even though I came from a bigger island where there was 800 people. I had lots of friends, we could play football, we could do a lot more things. Genostra didn't have any roads, and even today it can only go with a donkey up the top, and it's cut off from the rest of the world, because in the old days where there used to be one telephone box at the little post office open whenever, there was no mail coming in. And in the winter the pole would fall down, or the rocks from the volcano would break it, so we're completely cut off the rest of the world. The only thing we did have in the winter was someone who knew their flag signs to tell their little ship that their little boat could not go and shunt if there was a passenger or whatever down. And I really learned to live with the life in a way. I sort of, even though in Malvern I used to go there so often to meet my friends there, I loved Genosta because it was only half a dozen kids like me, mostly old people, who respected the older people. We'd go fishing, and I was going to tell you the story when we nearly lost their lives, but we are still here, in spite of what some people wish. And and I really have learned a lot from the speakers before me, because this is, the word was used was family, and this is like a literary family, and I'm really happy that 5 or 6 years ago I came down to have a look at Mum's exhibition. So thank you for having me for so long. And I did have 3 exhibitions of my own here, and I still haven't been able to go somewhere else. I was supposed to have at the Steps Gallery an exhibition. I couldn't. I've got the work ready, by the way.
So, yeah, Marcella, you're right. This month is our 6th year. Yeah, so it's a bit of a milestone. Yeah. Robin is going to some comedy. The Perch.
A little bit of both.
A little bit of both.
Well, Joffrey, Godfrey, you're lucky really, because my middle names are Sydney and Victor. So, don't worry about Joffrey and Godfrey. It had abated, rain thundering down for hours. Hadn't noticed it before, the web slightly bowed but beautiful, displaying crystal-like drops of water. Always too busy to notice the small things. Thanks to the rain, my mind was stilled, a lesson learned. Okay. Woke up this morning to find someone had cut the end off me perch. Yesterday was fine, no problems. Thought I was on top of it. Then this morning everything gone to hell. The gutters are blocked, the cat's dead, and my undies had blown off the bloomin' line. Not happy about it. I'm not ready to push off just yet, even if I am teetering on the edge. And I'd like to know who done it. All right, so my mirror says the hair's receding, almost gone. I'm bent in 2 and the sight's shot, but I'm not ready to go yet. Me trouble and strife left me a couple of months back. Got it. Wandered off into the ether, muttering something about halitosis. Broken toenails, scraping her in the night. And wait for it, flatulence. I mean, really. Everyone has a bout of wind, don't they? Well, don't they? Wasn't aware of a saboteur and don't think it was her, but everyone has the odd bout of wind, don't they? Honestly, I'd like to know who cut the end off me perch. Woke this morning, yeah, true, to find someone had cut the end off me flaming perch. Thank you.
Thanks, Robin. Michelle.
She said, I've applied to come to the book launch. I said, fantastic, would you like to launch?
Can you launch Roy?
At the launch, yes, I'll do that in a minute. So I said, at the launch, and she said, yeah, I'd love to. And she said it'd be an honour, and we both ended up in tears. So at the moment, for me, since this book has landed in my hand, it's been a roller coaster ride, and it's extremely emotional. But Saturday the 25th of May at the George Harris Room Icon Pavilion, Carlton Football Ground, the Carlton Football Club, I've got the book launch. It's Saturday the 25th of May. If you're interested in coming and haven't been invited through the normal means, I've got some invitations here, and if you're available, I'd love to see you there, because you're well aware of Cardboard Paul and his story. What else? I think that's about it, I think.
Am I allowed to say anything else? No, not yet. There's a lot of exciting stuff happening. I've got to keep a lid on it. At the moment, there's been a lot of interest in Cardboard Paul and the book. A lot of interest. Like, media have actually gone insane about it. And with this, I believe it is going in on the Herald Sun on Saturday. I had the interview today and photographs tomorrow, so there will be a piece in the Herald Sun. On tomorrow morning, I'm being filmed for Channel 7's Sunrise program with the backup story. And I believe, I've been told to keep a lid on it, but I believe, and you're my family, so I can tell family. On Monday morning, which just happens to be Paul's 3rd anniversary, what a day, we're having a live feed from Sunrise. So I'm talking with Sam and Koshi from home. I have got an interview on Friday with the Life magazine. I have a phone interview tomorrow with 9 Honey. And there is a radio program coming up. I think it's an interview Monday week. That's only the last 2 days. So every time Ashley sends me an email or a phone call, she says, Eva, I said, just bring it on. So we are still trying for Ellen DeGeneres. Yes, we're putting it out there. Manifesting, put the vibes out there. So because... We want a movie. We want the movie.
Well, yes, we do want the movie, but it was funny because on our travels, we were saying that we wanted to get it on Ellen DeGeneres, and I had friends try to get onto her Facebook page or her Instagram and saying, you've got to get this woman on. So she might have to pay a lot of money to do it now. So thank you. I really appreciate all your support and putting up with my stories and everything else. But if you'd love to come, I'll put the invitations on the desk. So thank you, family.
Thank you. Gay Miller has a poem today. So we do have some poetry. Yes. We're all getting old.
Thank you. Yes, I just felt like doing some poetry for a change tonight. Thank you. And the first one is, my name is Sally. A cacophony of bips, beeps, bells and announcements, the swish of opening and closing curtains, the whir of wheels and quickly tapping feet. We had arrived at the hospital. Hello, my name is Sally and I'll be looking after you today. I'm just going to take your blood pressure if that's okay. Can you tell me your name and your date of birth? Can you tell me what happened, and for what it's worth, do you know where you are? Hello, my name is Sharon and I'll be looking after you this evening. We need to do blood pressure, ECGs and oxygen readings. Now breathe deeply, sir. Your hands are freezing. Would you like a blanket? You are quite cold. You're doing so well for a 95-year-old. Hello, sir. My name is Renee and I'll be your nurse for the rest of the day. Now, can you tell me, when did this problem begin? Just cough for me, please. Now, a big breath in. I'm just going to have a look at your abdomen. Does it hurt here when I press right in? Hello, my name is Leanne and I'm your nurse this morning. Do you have any chest pain? Is there any bleeding? When did this begin and how long did it remain, and what have you taken to stop the pain? Hello, my name is Sally and I think we've met before. Now, if you can just swing your feet out onto the floor. Together we're going for a little walk. Just lean on me, don't try and talk. Here comes your lunch, soup and roast pork. Now, back to your bed. You haven't said, how's that dizzy feeling you had in your head? Hello, my name is Janet. And I'd like to do another one. Dear God, which is, I thought I had the page right, but I pulled it out. Pulled out the bit of paper, which is pretty silly. Dear God, I want to talk to you. I realise my conversation is lacking grace and form. I ramble on constantly about everything and I'm torn because my constant twitter must bore you so. But I've lived so long with this conversation flow. My beseeching Lord, please heal here, please intervene. Please let the unemployed man's real worth be seen. And why am I still fat when I've prayed quite a bit about that? I want to be in good communication, instead my mind wanders off on occasion. I seek to have prayers so deep, but instead I pray that the hungry birds will be fed, that the homeless man will find a bed, and that the sad and struggling mentally ill you will heal and make their minds still. And also, Lord, I want to ask, why am I still fat? I've prayed quite a lot about that. It seems to me that I have an open line to talk to you at any time about the things that are happening now. And I don't think I know how to change my constant pattern. And dear Lord, perhaps it doesn't matter, as you sort out the weeds from the flowers, and I believe you listen to me for hours. So, Lord, do you think you could see your way to take some of my ugly kilos away? If there was less of me to carry around, my temperament would be far more sound. Just one small miracle I would ask, Lord. Could you make me only half as broad? And seeing the bell hasn't worked yet, but it probably will as soon as I do this.
You got about a minute.
All right? Oh, goody.
10 seconds.
Oh, okay. Should I do my bathers and I, or should I try for my bathers and I? It's come the time that I dread. My bathers are lying on the bed. They look so innocent and sweet, but they challenge me to a defeat. It is a war, no more, no less, and I have to come out victorious. I have to put my bathers on. Everyone else is up and gone. I puff and struggle and turn quite blue. It's like fitting an elephant into a shoe. Over my tummy, but how to squeeze my bottom into something as small as these. I throw myself upon the bed. My face is really getting red. I push and pull and breathe right in. I'm beginning to think I'm going to win. Over the shoulder and all tucked in, but there's lots of me up under my chin. Ah, what a relief the bathers are on. I look in the mirror to see how I've gone. That's when I give a horrified shout. The bathers are on, but they're inside out. I just can't bother anymore. I'll not go down to the seashore. I'll cut these flaming bathers free and go and have a cup of tea. Thank you.
Shell. Shell is going to read a piece called Natural Attrition of a Good Bird.
Families put up with you when you break up with your boyfriend. Thanks, Busybird family. Birds calm me. That was your explanation for collecting 13 aviaries and 46 birds. Indeed, it explains your unruffled nature, why your feathers were permanently smooth. You explained how much you enjoyed outfitting their aviaries and with outfitting their aviaries with their preferred nesting material, balancing their diets, watching them mature, pairing them with an appropriate mate. It satisfied you knowing that you'd puzzled in every element to make them comfortable to live, to sing, to breed. So when, within just a day, a good bird's chest contracted in your palm, you took it to your cottage and placed it in the heated hospital cage so it didn't use its own resources to keep itself warm overnight. But the next morning, it was dead anyway. You were crestfallen, but still unruffled until I said, "I'm sorry about your bird. Are you okay?" "Why do people say that? It pisses me off when people say sorry," you squawked. "It's nature. It's natural attrition." You put the bird out with the garbage. It wasn't just birds that calmed you. We were easy together right from the start. A good sign. We both noticed it. We stated our boundaries quickly. Just 2 rules each. Me, 1, keep me warm. 2, don't talk to me in the morning. It's more than just walking in sync. I know you know what I'm referring to. You said at the start, we make the best team. And then, together, imagine what we can do. It took me till that walk in Westerfolds to feel that current beneath our feet that smoothed any unevenness. But just 7 months in, something between us was turning like the slightest sharpness of milk on my tongue. I tasted the bacteria changing to something that would cause an odour. I wondered if we were taking each other for granted in a good way, comfortable with the daily ding of long texts. But now they filled only half my screen and ended with, "Later, hun, got to jog on." On calls, I heard my pitch whine higher and thinner, felt the stiffening of my stomach as I sensed your need for me to just hurry up. Nothing I said took any longer than 3 weeks prior, but your attention span had shortened, so I knuckled off the syllables of my sentences to manufacture the brevity of message that kept the lines of communication open without irritation or wasted sentiment. Oh, too long? I'll shorten that. I curled in my ends. If you were holding in bad air, I wanted to know. I waited for the night to pass without speaking, then for you to feed the birds, then for me to fully awaken before saying, "I feel like I can't talk to you anymore. Has something changed?" You said no, no, then yes. Then those 4 sentences. 1, I'm bored. 2, I've lost interest in you as a person. 3, I'm just going through the motions. And 4, sorry to be blunt, but when I'm done, I'm done. And with that, my chest crumpled, my eyes loaded with water, and I bagged my belongings and met you on the veranda. You thanked me for my drive, and I drove away. Our walk over. Natural attrition, you'd call it. Remember your other dream, hun? You were walking. I came up behind you, and at long last took your hand and walked with you. You leaned in and spoke in my ear. When you woke, you didn't remember the words, but you told me what you felt. You said we had the most incredible unspoken trust.
Bali? No.
Have we mentioned Bali?
I will mention Bali. So we have a week in Bali in the first week of November. So if anyone in the room wants to come and hang out with us, the Busybird family in Bali, you can write a book, or you can just, learn stuff and go off and have massages and stuff. But it's a good idea to write. So that's for 6 days in the first week of November. What else have we got? We have book camp end of July, 27th and 28th of July.
And if you do book camp, does that come off Bali?
Yes, if you do book camp, the price of book camp comes off the Bali price. Okay. F31. Yay!
Sitting next to Richard.
It is true!
Number next to Richard.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Richard.
Enjoy. He's a good luck charm. Thank you all for coming. And, sorry? Announcements, yes.
A couple of months ago I mentioned Saturday's performance of Wicked, and that starts next week.
Cool.
So it's on for 2 weekends, so I think from Thursday through to Sunday next week, and then from...
And is it at the school?
It's at the school.
Yep. Cool.
The tickets available on Try Booking.
Yep.
So go to trybooking.com. Wicked St. Helena.
Yep.
And forget what you ever heard about school musicals. It'll be the best $20 to $30 we ever spend to
Cool.
see the show.
Awesome. And don't forget Michelle's book launch.
Yes.
Not this Saturday, but the next at the Carlton Footy Club. Is it the actual footy club?
Yes,
Yeah.
Carlton Football Club.
Yep. And any other announcements? Anyone got any things coming up they'd like to tell us about?
Publish for Profit meeting?
Publish for Profit. Yeah, we have a Publish for Profit 2-hour workshop on the 15th of June. Yes.
Gay's birthday on Monday.
Gay's birthday on Monday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Gay. Happy birthday to you. Hip, hooray! Hip, hip, hooray! Hooray! Why was she born so beautiful?
Maybe 40.
Getting younger every day.
You're not that old.
So feel free to hang around and finish off the food. Get into those lollies before Kev eats them all. And have some wine or a cup of tea or coffee or something. And we'll see you next month. Thanks.
I'll leave you.
What's your rate?